all the time. A bunch of young expatriates with two Omanis and a Sri Lankan coach go on to play the World Cup of cricket, beating the number 11 team in the world and beating the number 15 team in the world. That is a program that we've led. We soon will roll out a program where cricket should be introduced not just in clubs but also in schools and government schools as well. So we want to adopt that and we want to promote that. We have a football championship that takes place within the company every year, and I'm happy to say something close to 600 Omanis and from the staff. They actually partake in this tournament from starting at 7 in the morning and going on till 10 o'clock at night. It's great. It's a great to see staff getting involved in all sorts of sports and activities. Local football, Al Kamil football stadium lighting. Again in Iski we've done the same. In Khabura we've done the same. Donated for that. Ishkara. Young children reading, and that's it. Kay, you want to add something in Arabic? You want to say something? Unless you have something to add. It's all about lives. It's all about people. As you can see, we are extremely people-oriented. We have 2 films that we will show you about our staff who joined us as complete novices, straight out of school, not even completed school, but they've gone on to become great leaders within the company and great role models for all our staff and to the community from where they come. We've rolled this out on the social media, but we've not really put enough emphasis to roll it out otherwise, but I hope you see it and enjoy it as well. But thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for sharing your precious time with us, and I hope we've been able to share best practices with you. I think there's a lot to be done, more interesting things across the table on that side, so if you want to snack and then
لما أنهض الصباح عشان أسوي الريوق لأولادي، أتذكر لما كان عمري 9 سنوات كنت دايما أنهض الساعة 4 الفجر وأروح أصلي وأطبخ وأنظف البيت وبعدين أروح المدرسة. ما كان في ذيك الأيام عندنا الكثير من الأشياء، كنا بسطاء جدا. هذاك الزمان كان واجد صعب أن أنت توفر عندك أشياء مثل الحين. أتذكر أنه ما كان عندنا كهرباء في البيت، حتى أن عشان نذاكر وعشان ندرس كان نشعل القنديل. طبعا أنا كنت أول بنت تدرس في العائلة. زمان أول الناس عندهم فكرة أن البنت ما لازم تدخل مدرسة، لكن الوالد الله يرحمه كان دايما يقول العلم يرفع بيتا لا عماد له، وأصر أني أدخل مدرسة. الله يرحمه، أتمنى لو كان اليوم يشوف كيف القرار اللي اتخذه. بعد مرور هذه السنوات كلها صرت امرأة قوية ومعتمدة على نفسي. صار لي الحين أشتغل في شركة كيم جرمداس 9 سنوات. كان خبرتي قليلة، وأول ما بديت تعلمت اللغة الإنجليزية. أعتبرها شيء أساسي لأنك تلتقي بناس من مختلف الجنسيات، عاداتهم قد تختلف عن عاداتنا. لما تعلمت اللغة كثير ساعدني إني أنجح في شغلي وواصل مع الناس. مكان عملي أعتبره بمثابة بيتي الثاني، والحمد لله عندي زملاء في العمل كأنهم عائلتي وأكثر.
ما شاء الله عليها بدرية إنسانة محتوية معنى الحياة بشكل عام، عندها كل الروح الإيجابية، التحفيز، التفاؤل، تحاول تتخطى كل التحديات مهما كانت الصعوبات اللي تواجهها. حبيت شخصيتها كروح قتالية، عندها أحلام، تفكر بالمستقبل، تنظر للحياة بنظرة ثانية.
الكثير يسأل وش هي أسعد اللحظات في حياتي. كل إنسان عنده حلم، وأنا الحلم كان يكون عندي بيت والحمد لله اشتريت الأرض وبنيت البيت اللي كان دايما أحلم فيه. الوحدة صعبة على الإنسان، وخاصة إني أم وعندي ولدين أتحمل تربيتهم بنفسي. الشيء اللي أنا أريد أوصله لأولادي من خلال التجربة اللي مريت فيها إنهم يكونوا أقوياء ومعتمدين على نفسهم، ويواصلوا التطور ويواصلوا تحقيق أمنياتهم. النصيحة هذه أوجهها لأولادي وأيضا للشباب العماني على هذا الوطن المعطاء. أتمنى الجميع يجتهد ويواصل تحقيق أحلامه، والله يحفظ الجميع.
عادة ما أصحو من النوم بين الساعة 5 و5:30. دائما ما أبدأ يومي بإداء صلاة الفجر، تشعرني بطمأنينة النفس والسكون والرضا. في حياتي مررت بالكثير من المتاعب والصعاب، عانيت الكثير والكثير من التحديات. حقيقة عملت بجد وجهد كبير لمواجهتها. ما زلت أتذكر جيدا تاريخ الثلاثاء 17 يونيو 97. أمانة قطعت هذه المسافة سير على الأقدام من منطقة الخوير إلى مقر سكني في وادي عدي. المصروف اليومي كان لا يتجاوز 300 بيسة مقسمة. 200 بيسة كانت تصرف لوجبة غداء، وهي كانت عبارة حقيقة عن كيك وعصير. أما 100 بيسة المتبقية فكنت أحرص على شراء جريدة، دائما أبحث عن فرصة عمل جديدة. بحلول عام 2001 تغيرت حياتي، ذلك بعد أن انضممت للعمل في شركة كيم جي رامداس. بفضل الله تعالى رقيت إلى وظيفة مدير أول في عام 2011، حيث أنني أدير إدارة موارد البشرية والتنسيق الخاصة بمجموعة المنتجات الاستهلاكية. اليوم بفضل من الله تعالى، بفضل إرادتي القوية، إصراري على المواصلة، وبفضل تشجيع عائلتي لي، قدرت أن أترقى إلى سلم النجاح. تشعر بالرضا عندما ترى البسمة والفرح على وجوه العائلة، وأشعر بأن ما أقوم به هو إنجاز بعينه. تعلمت تحمل المسؤوليات من والدي. إخواني وأخواتي تعلمت منهم التضحيات. زوجتي تعلمت منها كيف أعتني بالعائلة. تعلمت من أبنائي كيف أوفر الرعاية الكاملة لهم. أنا ناجح أولاً بفضل من الله تعالى، وثانياً بفضل جميع هذه الصفات الحميدة والجيدة. بدون أي واحدة من هذه الصفات ما كنت لأكون مثل ما أنا عليه اليوم. أتمنى من المولى جلت قدرته أن أتمكن من نقل جميع هذه الصفات الجيدة والحميدة إلى أبنائي، فدائما أؤمن بأنهم هم المستقبل المشرق لي وللعائلة.
These are a series of just 4 or 5 movies that we made last year during our Renaissance 45 years. And we said we should use this as an example to embody people to start working in private sector more than that it's not only about government, but it's also about private sector. Having said that, Chairman just reminded me that I was going to share with you my views on what next. Where do we go from here? What do I think we need to do as not only as community, as government? How do we go forward from here? We have a lot of opportunities. We need to diversify. The 2 or 3 columns of diversification ought to be centered around our free zones. But in order to make them active, make them successful, make them attractive, we need to be attractive as a country. In order to be attractive, we need to shed our excess baggage of red tapeism. We need to be a business-friendly country. We need to work harder in attracting people, not just from internationally, but just look at the neighborhood. Look at India, look at Jabal Ali, look at Ras Al Khaimah. Emulate the best practices and attract them. If given on a like-for-like scale, if Oman were to offer the same practices and the best offers that they have next door, Oman definitely would be a more attractive place for people to invest in and set up industries, set up logistic shops. So this, I think, is one way forward. Number 2, tourism. We aren't doing enough for tourism. We're not building enough tourism infrastructure. Why do we only have one Cherry? Why do we only have one Shangri-La? Why is there only 2 or 3 families who've invested in tourism infrastructure in Oman? Why can't we have more? I believe tourism, from a dollar-to-dollar perspective, employs more people than any other business in the thing. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, if from any sector, whether it's tourism, manufacturing, finance, etc., tourism employs the highest number of people in the world. So if employment is our biggest challenge going forward, we need to make sure that we too are playing this role, and we have all the natural resources in place to do that. So we need to focus on that. Number 3, we need to focus on logistics and connectivity. And not connectivity only within our network of cities within Oman, but connectivity with the external world, with our neighbors, etc. So I think building Sohar, building Dukum, building Salala is a great move, but making it work is in our hands. And we need to work with government. We need to motivate government, our government, and tell them which is the best way to forward. So my take on this is that we need to tell the government which way to go and what to do. It's not going to happen by itself. So with this, I feel tourism and transport logistics and our free zones need to be empowered to go market themselves in a very, very cohesive manner, in a very aggressive manner. Not sitting over here is not going to do the trade. We have to go abroad to attract more interaction and sale. So with that, thank you.
والآن نتقبل الأسئلة. إذا عندكم أي سؤال please.
محمد عثمان صحفي. يعني شايف برنامج نظري جيد جدا أو ممتاز، فماذا في التطبيق؟ دي أول سؤال. السؤال الثاني، ما هي المهن التي تم التدريب عليها؟ هل في مهن معينة يحتاجها السوق؟ ثالثا، ما هي ميزانية المسؤولية الاجتماعية في الشركة؟ شكرا.
Well, to grow, my hobbies are obviously reading. I love reading economics, and we need to develop that. And no, it's about leadership.
Yeah. About when you train, what sort of
Leadership examples.
which professions did you train in? This was one.
You have said it.
What is you have already said it.
But he cannot.
Yeah, and what's your budget?
Our budget
You don't
on training.
On
Total CSR.
yeah, I mean you don't have.
I have said that, but what I'm saying is that yes, whatever you saw on the slide is something that has happened in the last 10 years. It is there. If you want to come and discuss this in detail, I don't like to share my CSR in public on how much we spend or how much we do and where we do it. But if you come to our office, my boys will be more than happy to talk with you in person and do it. But everything you saw in there is already happened. The only thing that has not happened is our new foundation program, the Harvard scholarship that still needs to be, somebody needs to be strong enough to go and get admitted to Harvard, and so we can sponsor him and pay for his fees. Everything in football we do, everything in cricket we've done. So all the training programs that you see are leadership programs in leadership and work, leadership in managing people, and leadership in ethics and morals and work ethics. Yeah, those are done already over here.
Yeah. First of all, thank you very much for this wonderful presentation. I must say that I am greatly impressed by the the initiatives that you have done, specifically your association with Harvard School and the Muscat University. I have two questions. One is about your experience with Sanad and the 1,300 stores that you managed to. I just wanted to understand your success rate and how could other organizations or other companies learn from your experience? Like, is your experience published so that others could learn to implement it in different sectors?
Yeah, it's.
I have two questions. The other question is the Pizza Hut, and you mentioned that there are stores which are run entirely by Omanis. Is there, or is it visible in the future to say that you make them owners of these stores, so they do not only work as employees, but they become partly owners, or so that ownership is
Yeah, thanks, Suleiman. That's very kind of you to those kind words. But to address the first questions first, and then the second question, in terms of our program on Sanad and our learning from that, a lot happened when Sanad started to the point Sanad was accomplished. 2008 happened, 2011 happened. When Sanad started in the early 2006, 2007, and 2005, the average take-home salary of a first-time worker was 130 riyals. So we said that if two sisters or a mother and daughter were to take over a store in their village from an expatriate, if they can take home about 250 riyals, that would be good enough, a model. So we modeled those Sanad stores to make sure that these girls, they took home 250 to 300 riyals, which would be more than what they would get from their husbands or fathers if they were not not working. So that was the model break-even point. So in 2011, when the basic salary went up to 320 riyals, this model became a challenge. So what happened was that in the first instance, when there was 7,500 stores, shrunk to 4,500 in the first 3 years, so that there was cannibalization, but there was enough. Two stores became one, but together they were earning much more than two stores individually, so they were more attractive. And then slowly they started increasing, but then 2011 happened, and again the interest went down. So today, whilst there aren't 7,500 stores, but there are 3,500 stores which are run by Omanis, and it has stayed. Now, is this model workable in other areas? We believe so. We believe that tire shops, battery shops, these are not rocket science institutions. They can easily be run and managed by Omanis. But is there enough money to be earned in running a battery shop or a tire shop? With those hours of 12 hours of working, will they be attractive enough for a young Omani to go and get into that thing? It needs to be fine-tuned, but that initiative needs to be taken. At that point in time, there were enough people in government who said, no, we want to make it happen. And they engaged with the private sector. It was a brilliant PPP initiative. Nobody's done a case study on it, but I'm sure if somebody were to do a case study on such examples, it could happen going forward. On my other initiative in terms of education, is what you talked about. Just repeat that question again. The ownership, the co-ownership model with employees. It's surely something that we have talked about within the company. It's something that we will definitely want to consider, because we believe that is going to be the ultimate success of Pizza Hut, is if I can get my employees to co-own a Pizza Hut with or without me. We believe that Wudam is ready, and Amirat, which will be starting very soon, again with 100% Omani theme, may be the next venture that may go ahead. At this moment in time, we haven't done it because the investment required for each outlet is pretty high. And I do not want to move over a new outlet to them, God forbid if it doesn't work. But I'd much rather take an existing outlet where they're working on and they move on to that. So I think I'm much more cautious about it than handing over to them rather than them wanting to take over from me. So it's just a matter of time, and it will happen. And Suleiman, you'll be the first one to know.